Okay, I'll call to order the Tuesday, April 17th, 2018 meeting of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd ask you to please bow your heads in silent prayer or reflection. If you'll please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, and at this time, Ms. Jones, if you'd please point us to any adjustments to the agenda.
We do not have any adjustments to the agenda other than taking item 8.2 off the consent agenda and being heard at our 7 o'clock.
Okay. Other than that one notation, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Commissioner Norman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Move on to item 5, which is a presentation of the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the June 30, 2017 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. Our very own Deb Alford is here to educate everyone about the importance of this kind of recognition.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm pleased to inform you that the financial statements of Iredell County for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2017 have been reviewed by the Government Finance Officers Association and have been awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The Government Finance Officers Association is a national organization. The reviewers are peers in the financial industry. In addition to the basic financial restatements that are required, additional items such as a lengthy management and discussion analysis and 10 years of statistical data are presented in these statements. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. Iredell County has been the recipient of this award for 30 years. I would like to personally thank my finance staff for their hard work in making this award possible, as well as the management staff and its support. Thank you.
Ms. Alford, thank you very much. Please convey our great appreciation to the finance staff and all of our departmental heads. It is a team effort, and it is truly a reflection of 30 years worth of commitment to accountability to the public for how the public's dollars are spent. And we thank you for your green eye shade approach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now move on to appointments before the board, item 6.1. It's our great pleasure to welcome back a man who needs no introduction, our former county manager, Mr. Ron Smith, looking tanned and fit and very relaxed.
Thank you very much.
Low stress.
Thank you. And it is odd to be standing here. The reason I'm here tonight is this is the 50th anniversary of Centralina Council of Governments, and our Board of Delegates and our Executive Board have basically been trying to figure out how best to celebrate the year, because 50 years for an organization such as this is a pretty big deal. And so one of the things that we are doing is I'm going around to each county, and this is the second one, started with Anson County, I guess it's been about a month ago, but going around to each county and presenting a proclamation and and a plaque, so to speak, to each county, and just basically talking about who the COG is and basically what it stands for. And then I'll go through basically a explanation, and then I'll read the proclamation for you. But Centralina Council of Governments is, before, when I was sitting in that seat, I wasn't quite exactly sure what they did. And I knew certain things, but as I've gotten into this position, I've found out, basically the breadth of what this organization stands for and who they serve. We have 4 main departments that we have in-house, and we serve a 9-county region. We're the largest region by population in the state. There are 17. And obviously because of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County, and then Triangle J, which is over in the Raleigh area, is the second largest. But by far, the Charlotte region and Centralina region is the most dynamic and very diverse. We go from Anson County in the east to Gaston in the west, up to Iredell, and basically round it all out. So the 4 departments that we have in-house are aging, the Area Agency on Aging. We call it the AAA. That's really the largest part of what we do monetarily. We generally, now some of these funds have gone away over time, but generally pass through between $10 and $15 million a year to our county partners or our participating counties. And that money is a direct pass-through that is meant to help serve the aging and the elderly. We have regional ombudsmen. We work with Anna Rice at the local aging agency, volunteer transportation, things of that nature. The second is workforce development. David Hollers, some of you have probably know or have been in meetings with David Hollers. That's the second largest part of the organization. They run all of the old unemployment offices, and they've been changed to career centers. We've got 7 in the region, and then Gaston and Charlotte run their own. Charlotte Works, and I believe it's Gaston Works, if I'm not mistaken. So that's mainly what they do, is operate those centers, but there's been a paradigm shift in the way that the unemployment is dealt with over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so. And it's not where you go in and you sign up, so to speak. You go in, you meet with job counselors. They also put training programs in place that match applicants with the right positions, and vice versa if you're looking for applicants. So very beneficial service. The third is community and economic development. It's a small part of what we do, but in a lot of ways is really one of the more important, because you all know the importance of economic development. Recently, it was late last year, that group, in conjunction with the, I always get this wrong, Centralina Economic Development Commission, which is a board basically like our board of delegates. Beth is on that board. They completed our SEDS, and that is a comprehensive economic development strategy. So that is something that it's a document. Russ Rogerson and Chris Younger would utilize that to the degree that they can, but basically looking at economic development from a regional perspective. We're in the process of beginning the implementation of that, and probably throughout the course of the next year, you'll be seeing more. You might hear from me as far as membership and things like that. And then finally, regional planning. That's the fourth department. And that one is, that's what I was familiar with when I was with Iredell as both the manager and as a planner. But what is kind of taking most of their time, although they do a lot of different projects, but what's taking a lot of their time is transportation issues and transit issues, because Charlotte Mech is in the center of where we are, or our region. Transit's a big deal. Trying to figure out what code can be cracked as far as transit, how transit goes in the outlying counties, and then also trying to work with Charlotte Mech and CATS to do their work. So transit's a big deal, and transportation. Transportation if you're in our region, other than maybe Anson County, you are dealing with traffic problems and transportation issues. So we don't run any of the MPOs or transportation organizations, but we certainly partner with every one and with DOT. So those are the four departments that we have. That's kind of what we do. Commissioner Haupt is our delegate. We just had a meeting last week, and that's basically what I've found is for the COG, you get out of it what you put into it, and you get an understanding of what we do and how to kind of think regionally. Because I didn't know. I thought I could, but I really couldn't effectively think regionally until I've had about 3 or 4 months now to figure it out. So all that being said, if you don't mind, I'd like to read this proclamation.
Please do. You have the floor.
So this is a proclamation honoring Iredell County. Whereas Iredell County, North Carolina is nicknamed the Crossroads for the Future for offering economic opportunity and growth potential, and whereas Iredell County is home to quintessential small towns such as Troutman, Harmony, and Love Valley, and larger communities such as Mooresville and Statesville that serve as a gateway for industry, and whereas Iredell County has experienced a significant growth in population over the past several years, with Mooresville seeing the greatest increase in residents, and whereas Iredell County is rich in economic and recreational opportunities, making it an optimal environment for living, working, and playing, and whereas in 1968, Iredell County became a charter member of Centralina Council of Governments, an organization that works to help communities grow jobs in the economy, control the cost of government, and improve quality of life. And whereas Iredell County and Centralina have worked together to deliver workforce development services through 2 NC Works Career Centers, support seniors through the Regional Ombudsman Program, and address growth-related needs through the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy and the Connect Our Future project. And whereas Centralina is proud to have Iredell County as a valued member and looks forward to continuing to partner with the county in addressing the community's needs and identifying new enterprises. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Centralina Council of Governments dedicates the month of April 2018 to honoring Iredell County, North Carolina, for its successes over the years and its collaborative work with the Centralina region. And this is signed by our chairman, William Feather, who is also the mayor of Granite Quarry. With that, can I come up?
Maybe we can get all the commissioners back here and we can ask what the camera.
I was wondering if they know who you are.
Chairman, no. Yeah.
I think you have one more. Do you want to do one more?
Thank you, Ron. We look forward to working with you for the next 50 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, as our COG representative, I just want to thank Ron and tell you guys from the executive board, everyone's pleased with the job he's doing, and he's working hard for our region. And hopefully our inside advantage will maybe get some things this way, nod, nod, wink, wink. But thank you for all you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Ron. Appreciate it. Okay. Next, we have a update from administration, specifically Mr. David Sleevey, concerning the Public Safety Center and the jail project.
All right.
Thank you, Chairman, Board, Manager, and staff. I thought this would be easy. I was real excited about it. And our manager reminded me of what Ron always reminded me of, my friend brevity. And then in not quite as nice a way, your clerk, believe it or not, has me on the clock. So it's ticking right now, bless her heart. But I appreciate that. And I was trying to figure out, how do you take two projects that you've been working on for at least 7 months and really in entirety 2 years each, feels like, and boil it down to now 14 minutes and 33 seconds. So it won't take that long. So I will hit highlights. I've tried to be proactive and answer some of your questions, but I'm sure the questions may come no matter how much I was up here. I have thousands of pictures already, and I will not show you those. But I wanted to start off a little bit with the jail project. Some of you have seen this, but this was kind of like before the earthquake, so to speak. We have tore up the world over there. If you haven't been by, I encourage you to do that. But things have gone rather well considering what we've had to do over the past 6 or 7 months. So we'll start with the jail project, and as we move forward, just a shot of kind of this is the way it looked about 2 weeks ago. And I've got a few others of both projects I'm going to show you, and it may be easier if you want to see these things, but I want you to think about this wall that we built, and the wall looked simple. The wall was a huge task just to get room for the footprint of the jail. But about where the pointer is now is how much, that's where the bank used to be. So we've moved a tremendous amount of dirt. Actually, the next slide will show you where it went, I hope. There we go. We filled up Mitchell College's Davis Hospital hole, and now there was even so much more, is that we built a mountain over there where the trailer is at, and it's huge, and we're not finished, but Mitchell said that's enough. They can't take any more dirt. But we were close to 600 truckloads last count. Tremendous amount of earth being moved. The project itself is going well. I will compare it to the offensive coach for the Panthers. And all seasons he's working on a plan. He's got all these great and wonderful things. He goes over with the coaches, and then he goes over with the team. And then on the first time out, first game, preseason game, they run that very special play. And it takes some tweaking. Now, by the time they get through it, they pretty much got it right. But it doesn't work right the first time. If any of you worked on any project at home, your wife will be the first to tell you that it didn't turn out quite like you thought it would. What you see now in a few pictures is just a small part of the work that's been done. For Bert and all the folks have been watching me with a microscope over there. It looked like we weren't doing anything, but this is just a small piece of a tremendous foundation, 6, 7 foot deep, 8 foot deep in some places, foundations that are full of rebar and concrete, and it just takes a lot of time to get that in right, because the structure we're putting on top of it is all steel and concrete, and it's extremely heavy. So there's been a lot of work going on. This is just one piece of it, but that's what it looks like underground, except it goes a lot deeper, and there's a lot more of it. Actually, every column has that type of footing, and then the precast walls that they're building also has it. We started out, and once we finally got through the ground, and remember what January looked like, and part of February, and a little bit of December, it was a little rainy, I might say, maybe a whole lot rainy. And then the snow hit. So we finally got out of the ground. Remember, trying to do a lot of that and moving 600 truckloads of dirt with that much moisture in the dirt, it took a little time. As far as schedule, you ask, well, what does weather do to the schedule? Well, I will say that I learned a lot on this project, so for both of them, is that they go back for 5 years and they look at how many inches of rain or how many rain day events they've had in January for the past 5 years. And they average that. So if it was 9 over the past 5 years average, then they build 9 days of rain into that January schedule. Well, we had about 13. So then they asked for an extension, or they try to make it up. We have not granted any time extensions. We've stuck to our guns, and they're working on Saturdays. They're working early in the mornings. Actually, this coming Monday morning on the second level that I'll show you here. Well, that's from a different angle. That's Dr. Milam's office. That seems to be like the overlook at the Blue Ridge Parkway. Everybody goes there and watches the project come up. But on Monday, this level right here where you see the cursor, they'll start pouring about 2 o'clock in the morning. And they will pour that whole level. Right now, they're putting in a lot of what we call MEPs, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing that's inside the concrete pads. And this, let's see if I can catch another picture of it, I hope. There we go. This next level up here will be the level that they do in a couple of weeks. And this, what you see right here, is only half of it. Actually, it's maybe a little bit bigger than a third of it. There's a lot more that goes on over on this side. So schedule-wise, it's challenging. It's kind of like that offensive coach trying to make that play work. But they know the time they have to make up. Some of these items are very long lead time items, like precast walls. And you'll see those in about a month and a half start coming in. Precast walls, maybe 200 truckloads of them, and another 150 to 200 truckloads of steel cell detention cells coming in. A lot of traffic is getting ready to come through. Environmental issues, we've had none, which is great. Interesting thing on this project, all projects have allowances for rock and large, like if you run into bad soil and rocks, even though you've bored it, you can still run into one. Well, we uncovered a mystery that has been a mystery, at least for me, but right here, if you remember in front of the courthouse, there was a flagpole. Remember that? And we figured out now why the flagpole was right there. Because as we were digging, preparing, and under here is all storm water, and it's very deep, 14 feet, some of it, 16 feet deep, stormwater lines. They were digging, and they hit, it was like an archaeological dig. They hit something that was very large. So they scratched around on it, and they found brick, and they found it was, there was a dimension of about 6 foot square, and they dug down about another 8 feet, and then it went from 6 foot square, it went to like 10 or 12 foot square, solid concrete, and we haven't really found the bottom of it yet. We could not figure out what in the world would have been there. And we went to the Steve Hill's art gallery, and he was going through pictures, and I said, tell me what was there. So we started back when there was nothing, and we kept on going, and all of a sudden we saw the demolition of the Davie Avenue School. Thank you. Davie Avenue School. And in that demolition, there was a very large smokestack. And then I started thinking, and then we got looking at where it was at. And the smokestack was exactly where this large piece was. Well, instead of removing all that when they demoed, think about this, they filled the chimney full of concrete and put the flagpole there. So the flagpole was there by, I don't know if it was just planned or an accident, but it ended up being there. And that's what's really interesting, because that is how the front of the courthouse ended up being on Water Street. Because the original plans has the courthouse on the entrance on Stockton. So we have uncovered that. We did not dig it up. We did not have to spend the money on that. We left it there, and we're going to put a plaque over it. So the next poor soul in 100 years that digs down will find this massive thing that is still going to be there. And the only thing we're going to put over it, we're going to take about 12 inches off and put sidewalks over it. That's what's supposed to be there. Anyway, that's a long story, but I thought you might like to hear that. Budget-wise, we are working. You folks set a direction that we will stay within a certain budget, and so far we are moving right through it. There'll be tweaks on that. There'll be gives and takes and ups and downs, and it's kind of like playing a game of cards. And sooner or later, we end up at the end of it, and we better be right where we're supposed to be. But I will say, it's been a challenge. It is not easy to keep this thing between the ditches, budget and schedule. And it's going to be a challenge to the very end, wouldn't you say, Beth? All the way to the very end. It's a super project. But now this, I'm sorry, Aretha, but this is just too good of stuff, and I'm already here, and nobody's cut me down yet. But this is the part that I liked. I think, this is the part that I really liked, and I hope you enjoy it, and I can stop it if you want me to, but just kind of watch what's getting ready to happen. I particularly like the music. Right here's a sally port. There's the wall. This steel here is going to build the second half of this thing. Remember, you're just looking at one half. So it comes all the way out. Way out. This is where we're building be pouring this floor. This is about 2 weeks old, so it's a little bit behind. First floor, 2 levels on there. Second floor, third floor, 2 more levels. And both of these will be full of detention cells. That's not a pretty place. It'll look great on the outside, but on the inside it's going to be pretty tough. The roof is pitched. If you go by and say, well, those beams look a little crooked, well, they are. The roof is pitched in both areas, so we don't have a flat roof, but it kind of looks like that. And this thing will be about 6 foot taller than what you see now, because that's where the precast walls come up, and down in that 6 foot is where all the mechanical units will be. So we had to screen them. And that's Dr. Milam's office, and that's our overlook right there. This is what they call a mezzanine area, so there'll be double stacked steel sails right in here. And this is a framing for that catwalk that'll go around the mezzanine. These are moves fast. This was on a Saturday, and there was some working going on. I think this is, with the way the shadows are, I think this is in the afternoon. They built stairs up over here, I think, yes. You'll see scaffolding stairs, so we can go up there now safely once they put the safety rails or the safety markers up. So you've got a real project over there, folks. I mean, it is it's really exciting to kind of watch that thing. And when we're all done, with a little luck, that's where we end up, with the flagpole in the right place. Sheriff, we hope. There is nothing under it. Okay. So that's kind of it on the jail. Any questions before I move to public safety? Sorry, Aretha. I know. Look at her. Look at her. She is going to nail me. It's okay. Any questions on public safety? On jail. Good.
He had 15 minutes on just the jail. Now he's got another 15 minutes.
Okay. I will attempt to move quicker. Now on public safety, this is kind of where we started. Okay. We moved through it, and actually that's when the trees were taken down. Most of you, all of you, were there for the groundbreaking, and that's kind of what it looked like. I won't show that video. There's a video of the groundbreaking stuff, but I will not go through there, Beth. I feel it. I'm already starting to feel things clawing at me. But we started with that after the groundbreaking, and they started bringing in material. And this project also had a lot of stormwater work. Both of these projects, tremendous amount of stormwater. And on this one, you'll see a detention pond. This is when they first started pouring concrete. And this represents about 60 loads of concrete just on this one pad. And this is ECOM back here. This is EMS, Fire Marshal, and as we move through the slides, you'll see just a few more. These were done early. Well, this is after they'd done started, but they started this pour about 3 or 4 in the morning, and it took them to about 7 or 8 at night to finish up because it was such a large pour. This is vapor barrier. If you want to know what the blue stuff is, it's down. It's very thick, and it's sealed. Did you just put a red light on me? She did. Oh man. Okay, but it's sealed at every penetration, and it's a 20 mil vapor barrier, which is very thick. It's not just plastic. Whoop, wrong way. Sorry, Aretha. I'm moving as quick as I can. Okay, yeah, there goes. Then the project started, and this is a tower I was talking to you that was visible over at the airport, and our tower will be about as high as that crane. I meant crane. Our tower will be about that high, and I'll try to show you exactly where the tower is going to be on the project. EMS started coming up. This is their ambulance bays. These are windows that lets more lighting in. The windows will have light. I mean, the doors will have windows, but these windows are above. And this is a very steep pitched roof. It goes one direction. I'll show you that here in just a minute. This is Ecom, and it doesn't look very big, but it has to be at least 20 to 25 times bigger than what they've got now. It's huge. In here is also the EOC. The EOC is twice as big as it is right now. It's somewhere around the 480 foot, and we're close to 1,050 square foot range for the EOC. It'll be ready to go. And this is kind of what we look on the inside today. Walls are up. Heating and air conditioning units are in, or ductwork is in. Electrical's going in. Low voltage will be going in soon. But this is all the way through the whole thing, and this is a huge construction site. We've got about 50 to 60 folks there every day now, and it still hasn't got started, really ramped up yet. Both these projects are on schedule. Again, we haven't changed the schedule, so right now we're saying we're on schedule. But again, the jail's going to be a challenge just with all the long lead time items. Right now we're still shooting for mid to late spring for the jail. And public safety, even though we'll have substantial completion, we hope around the 1st of November, ahead of schedule, we will not have a CO and ready to move our folks in until January the 7th. This more of the work, that's what kind of happens before they put the steel walls up on the inside. These are showers or penetrations for plumbing. Everything's underground or under the slab. Again, just a lot of work. This is one more video, and I will try to move it quicker, Retha, because now I've got a double red light looking at me, it looks like here. This one doesn't have music, but it'll go fairly quick, I hope. This is Ecom and the EOC. This is some Ecom offices on this side, training and EMS area. The base itself is in here. Training scenario rooms. This is EMS administration. This is the emergency management and fire service wing. And of course, this is your ambulance bays. And they are big enough. They're double bays. That means we've got 14 vehicles. And we do have it, as you requested, we put the bays large enough for a rescue vehicle. We've got a decon area, a laundry area, oxygen tank area. All that is in the EMS bay area. This is just decking now, but this is now decked since this video, and there is rubber roof across the entire rest of the building, and they'll be setting HVAC units up there. I don't know if I've mentioned safety, but safety is huge on these projects. Every project meeting, we go through a very long safety checklist, and we have had 0 safety incidents or 0 environmental incidences so far. It's a very well-oiled machine, and I'll take right there. Right there is where the tower will go, and that is on an elevation about 20 feet higher than the building. Okay. But again, well within the fall zone. We're well outside the fall zone with it. This is kind of what you would look at from Bristol Drive. This is where the employees will come. This road over here on this side goes over to the Ag Center. That's the employee entrance. All of this back area is employee parking. This will be the ambulance, I guess, where they come out and come in, and this will be ambulances only. Over on this side, let's see if I can get that move a little quicker. Over on this side, this is public parking, and it extends on out farther. See if I can help us out here. This blue material is a gypsum board, but it's weatherproof gypsum, and it is all over the entire building now, except in the back where they're bringing in the large items. Right here, this is public. This is your main entrance. It'll be all glass. There'll be area for two different receptionists, one for the fire marshal side and one for the ambulance side or the EMS side, and they can both have view of the entrance. Public parking, right here it is. That's where the tower is, right there. So, we hope at the end of the day that we look something like that. And we're awful close to looking like it. I think I've answered most of the questions that I've thought about. Any other questions other than, sorry, Rita.
You did pretty well.
She's tough on us up
I
there.
know. Any comments? Questions?
Keep up the good work, and I appreciate the sheriff and Bert and all others and staff that what they're doing to work with you guys and all the emergency services people, patients and the community's patients to work with us downtown and on these sites for traffic and trucks and all that.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Mr. Shalibi, could you speak to the class of building that the ecom area will be made out of, the fact that it is a more hardened building than the rest of it?
I'll be glad to. I'm laughing because you asked me that question back when we were getting the special inspections, and you asked me if it was bomb-proof, and I'll say the same thing. How big a bomb? But that is a hardened building. They call it Class 5 or a Phase 5, Phase 4 building, Class 4 building, which means that structurally it is a lot beefier. It's about the beefiest you can get. The steel beams are larger. The trusses are larger. The roofing deck is held down with more than a normal office building. The glass is bulletproof, not bomb-proof. We've got bollards up around the main areas, and there's a lot of security around it. But I will say that being an essential facility, which is the entire building, is what they call an essential facility, I haven't seen a whole lot of difference except mainly in the reinforcement of the walls, the thickness of the walls, and how often they pour more concrete into the cells of the concrete block. So this will have back here we'll have a triple wall. There'll be concrete block or brick outside, a concrete block wall, and then another wall on the inside. But they're just not your average office building, and not even like this. They're very, very well built. Again, up to a certain point.
Other comments? I'll just close by thanking you, David, for the day-to-day involvement you have in both of these projects. You know, when we started to undertake the two largest construction projects that the county has, I think, ever been involved in simultaneously, and have gone from concept to plan, design, working with Sheriff Campbell and then Major Connolly and now Deputy Chief Connolly about, you know, what we were looking for and how to achieve the desired results with the greatest efficiency and economy, as well as working with all three services that will occupy the public safety building. You know, you've done just yeoman's work in terms of helping to coordinate all the stakeholders, the contractors, keeping staff and finance well informed about, you know, exactly where we are. And so I think that it was a wise decision that the board made to focus you on bird dog in both of these projects for the duration. So that's I know that we will get a great return on that investment. Already have.
Well, thank you, Chairman. And, you know, it's a huge team effort. And if you guys were around Monday through Friday watching staff keep me in line, and they're all smiling, they know how far I go out of the ditches. So they keep me in line. It's a great team effort. The Sheriff's Office and all the public safety have been great customers to work with because they are my customers now. So we've tried to stay plugged in, but this is a county staff effort. So thank you so much.
And I have to say, David went where angels fear to tread in terms of working out parking around the Justice Block. Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to item 6.3, which is the Guardian Ad Litem program, and we have the District Administrator, Nalini Joseph, and going to share with us a proclamation from the Governor concerning Guardian Ad Litem Month.
Thank you. I'm Nalini Joseph with the Guardian Ad Litem program in District 22A, which is Iredell and Alexander County.
And I'm Susan Irvin, the Attorney Advocate for Iredell County.
Thank you for having us here today. Just a few minutes of your attention to explain a little bit about Guardian Ad Litem before I ask Commissioner Bowles to read out our Governor's proclamation. I'm not sure how many of you know about Guardian Ad Litem. We represent children in court who are muddling their way through the system because of abuse or neglect. Their parents have been charged with an allegation of abuse or neglect, and the children, unfortunately, are also caught in the middle of their parents' situation. And we are there to represent the child. Susan Irvin, our attorney advocate, is there to represent the child, and our volunteers who work the case, meet with the child, are there to represent the child as well and to do all the legwork so that Susan can go into court and adequately represent, legally represent the child in court. A little bit about our history. In 1983, the GAL was established within the AOC by the North Carolina General Assembly. In 1994, we became a statewide program with an office in every judicial district. In 2010, we were 5,000 volunteers strong in North Carolina. And in 2014, we had 4,824 GAL volunteers serving 15,251 children with nearly 470,000 hours a year. That's a lot of free labor that our program provides the state and Iredell County in particular.
Just a few statistics about the GAL program, and in this last fiscal year, we had on our rosters 4,824 volunteers, which I think I'm still on. Again, repeating what Nalini said, there were 15,251 abused and neglected children who received legal representation from our program. 53,389 child abuse and neglect hearings. She went through the amount of service that our volunteers provide to the community. And currently in North Carolina, what I think is an important number is there's about 1,700 unrepresented children as far as volunteers go. Of course, they have an attorney who's representing them and program staff who are monitoring their cases, but that just shows you the desperate need that we have for volunteers.
So who are these volunteers? They are people like you and me, sincere, good-hearted people who want to help a child, who want to save a child's life. You have to collaborate with other people on the case. And we actually do not replicate the Department of Social Services. We are very different, and we have a different mandate from the Department of Social Services. A lot of people think we're there to rubber stamp the department. We are not there to rubber stamp the department. We do our own independent investigation and come to the judge, who tells us that we are the eyes and the ears of the court, and we tell the judge without the red tape involved, what this child needs, what is in that child's best interest. We typically take anywhere between 12 and 16 months to close a case out because that's how long it takes for a child to reach permanence from the beginning to the end of the case.
As far as the qualifications for a guardian ad litem, you would fill out an application, go through an interview process, and if you're selected, it would move forward to our training, which is a pretty intensive training. But the time commitment after that is really how much you make it and how many cases you want to take. As far as the qualification, I think Nalini's really just hit on that. It's someone who's committed to the community, helping children, and really wants to serve and has some good verbal and written communication skills. However, our staff is willing to help those who are not. We have lots of folks that are not really technologically inclined, and they seem to find a way to make it through.
So just to bring it back home to Iredell County, the total number of children in care here in Iredell County, meaning in foster care or in group homes or with relatives who are involved in the court system, 215. The children who are without a guardian ad litem volunteer, 25. And the total number of GAL volunteers here in Iredell County is 85. And we do get a lot of volunteers from the Morrisville area. We have some here in Statesville and from the North Iredell area, but a lot of our volunteers do come from the Morrisville area. Before I ask Commissioner Bowles to read out the proclamation, I would just like to take a moment for us to contemplate the child abuse that has led to fatalities in our county. And Susan has that number for you.
Well, as you guys know, it takes some time for them to compile those statistics. The most recent that I was able to find was from 2013, which was 25 children in a fiscal year that died as a result of abuse or neglect. In the grand scheme of things and the number of children that we have in care, it may seem minimal, but even if it's one child, then that's too many.
So if we would just take a few moments to do that. Thank you.
And I think Nalini's passed it out, and if not, we will give you guys, we have some cards that just say on the back our slogan is be the voice for a child. We didn't really hit on that, but in the investigation process and these court reports that are authored and presented to the court, that's one of the key factors. We're the only party that's coming in and actually voicing the opinions and the wishes of the children. When they're old enough, 12 years of age or older, they're entitled to come and be a part of the court proceeding. But even younger than that, if you guys have young kids at ages even 4 or 5 and up, they do express what their opinions are, what their wishes are as far as various aspects of their cases. And that's probably the most important part of what we do.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowles.
Thank you. I'd like to just mention for just a second, I've had a lot of experience sitting in the courtroom. And, the state presents its case, and then the parents' attorneys present their case, and they're like night and day, stark differences of opinion of what's going on. But when the guardian ad litem stands, it's like, okay, we're going to hear what really goes on now. So it is refreshing to have folks volunteering in our community to protect this vulnerable sector of our population. Some of these kids can't even speak, but you have somebody that's going to stand up and bow their back and make sure that kid's looked after. And it really is. It's wonderful to watch the guardian ad litem program work, because they really don't have an axe to grind in either way. There's nothing in it for them other than seeing that child's looked after. And it is very, very worthwhile program, and that's the reason I consider it an honor to read this proclamation tonight. I will confess to you, I've used this computer where I can hit the little magnifying glass and blow things up, but I'm going to try to do it off the paper the old way. So please bear with me here. Guardian Ad Litem Child Advocacy Month 2018 by the Governor of the State of North Carolina, a proclamation. Whereas the North Carolina Guardian Ad Litem program, celebrating more than 35 years of child advocacy, has established a distinguished record of public service through its work to enhance the quality of life for children, and whereas all 100 counties in North Carolina have a Guardian Ad Litem program, and whereas Guardian Ad Litem volunteers come from a variety of professions, educational and personal backgrounds, and act as advocates for abused and neglected children in the complicated and often unfamiliar court and child welfare systems. And whereas the court appoints Guardian Ad Litem advocates to serve as officers, helping to improve the quality of information presented to the court by acting as the court's eyes and ears of the child's life. And whereas every child deserves a voice in court, but more than 2,400 children in care do not have a Guardian Ad Litem volunteer. And whereas abuse and neglect have long-term personal, economic, and social costs, hurting children today and impacting North Carolina's future. And whereas April 2018 has been proclaimed Child Abuse Prevention Month, an observance of that reflects the purpose of Guardian Ad Litem programs to protect and defend children from harm and ensure that the abused and neglected children are provided with the court-ordered services they need. And whereas April is recognized annually in the United States as the time to honor the contributions of volunteers through National Volunteer Month, and more than 5,300 Guardian Ad Litem advocates donated more than 515,600 hours of service to the children of North Carolina in 2017. Now, therefore, it is therefore claimed by Roy Cooper, the governor of the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as the Guardian Ad Litem Child Advocacy Month in North Carolina and commend its observance to all citizens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the job you do. We appreciate it. And when I say we as a society, we as humanity appreciate what you do.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say, too, my wife and I have 5 adopted kids that come from abused or neglected backgrounds. And I want to say, please, on our behalf, thank your volunteers and express, because I know firsthand the the emotional scars never go away. So they're doing an invaluable service to these kids. So thank them on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
And thank you, Ms. Joseph and Ms. Irvin, for your dedication day in and day out, and the coordination and the representation that you provide for these children and their volunteers.
You're welcome.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for your time, Commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We'll now move on to item 7.1, which is a public hearing for consideration of an economic development incentive for Project Cutting Edge. Mr. Russ Rogerson and Chris Younger will be presenting that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Russ Rogerson and myself would like to thank this board and our chairman for allowing us to present before you this evening. Iredell County Economic Development Corporation is proud to announce Project Cutting Edge potential plans for a new manufacturing and training facility to be located in Mooresville. At this time, the company does request to remain known as Project Cutting Edge until a final decision on the project and its location have been finalized by their corporate office. As a manufacturer for the automotive, aerospace, racing, and other industries, their plans would be to remodel and occupy an 85,000 square foot facility and install new machinery for production. This project would create 30 to 50 full-time positions new full-time positions and generate up to $7.8 million in new tax investment. This project would expect to be completed by the end of 2022. In accordance to the Iredell County Industrial Development Incentive Program, we are requesting a tax grant back incentive be granted to Project Cutting Edge in the amount up to $26,200 per year for 5 years, totaling up to $131,000. On behalf of the Iredell County Economic Development Corporation, I want to thank you for your consideration in this matter and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Younger. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I will now open this public hearing. I do not believe that anyone has signed up to be heard. I would inquire of anyone in the audience if they'd like to be heard. Seeing and hearing none, I will close this public hearing and ask if there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve an economic incentive up to $131,000 over a 5-year period based on the company's investment of up to $7.8 million and contingent upon a contract being executed within 180 days.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner McNeely. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for your consistent efforts to bring great employers to Iredell County.
You're very welcome, and thank you again for considering this matter, and the company does appreciate it, and we hope to have an announcement on them here in the near future. Thank you.
Chris.
Thank you again, Chris. Russ.
Now move on to item 8, which would exclude item 8.2, which would be heard separately, and include item 11.1, originally under unfinished business. And I would ask that Manager Beth Jones summarize those matters that are appropriate for our consent agenda.
Thank you, Chairman Mallory. The first item is a request from the project manager to award a bid for the construction of the Public Safety Complex Communications Tower to Sabre Industries in the amount of $230,802. There was a request from our Emergency Communications Department for approval of the North Carolina 911 grant contract and budget amendment number 35 in the amount of $2,361,230. It's a request from the Finance Department to approve budget amendment number 36 in the amount of $107,113 to appropriate excess investment earnings to pay for the first interest payment on the public safety complex financing. There's a request from the Public Library to approve budget amendment number 37 for EDGE grant in the amount of $7,990 to purchase 23 tablets for public use. A request from the Public Library to approve memorandums of agreement for student access accounts with Mooresville Graded Schools, Pine Lake Prep Academy, and Langtree Charter Academy. A request from the Sheriff's Office for approval of a new threat assessment education investigator position. Those funds will come from lapse of salaries to cover the remainder of the year and the next fiscal year. A request from the Finance Department to declare 14 miscellaneous vehicles surplus with authorization to dispose of them by the best approved method. A request from Facility Services and Animal Services to award a sole source contract to Permatech Coatings in the amount of $121,048 to repair and seal floors in the kennels at Animal Services to make us compliant with North Carolina state requirements and inspections. Request approval for the March refunds and releases. A request from administration to discuss board assignments to the strategic planning task forces. This was discussed, and there was a recommendation to amend appointments from 2 commissioners per task force to 1 commissioner and 1 alternate per task force, and that was agreed by consent. A request from the clerk to the board for approval of minutes from the meetings on February the 22nd and 23rd, which was our winter retreat, and February the 3rd, 2018, with the discussed adjustments. There was, April 3rd. I apologize for that. There was one item that was discussed under unfinished business, which was a request from the Facility Services Department to present a comparison of lock proposals for the Department of Social Services, which was requested by the board. We did review those two options, and the board consented to go with a rhino-wire locking mechanism in the amount of $29,750 and agreed to place that on the consent agenda as well. That is all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there any further discussion of any items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved, that we accept the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Halp to accept the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. I would like to highlight just item 7.7, which is Sheriff's Department's request for a threat assessment education investigator position as a result of discussions among our law enforcement professionals in the Sheriff's Department, as well as our education task force, the education boards of education. Given the recent incidents in schools and heightened concern for school safety for our children, this is a proactive measure to be able to synthesize intelligence and communication and be able to work to come up with appropriate responses that are both preventive in nature and that can react and employ the right kind of resources in an effective manner. So we applaud Sheriff Campbell's proactive approach and his ability to fund this position immediately out of lapsed salaries. Okay, moving on, we do have one vacancy on a board to announce on our Recreation Advisory Board. This will be a posting for what?
We do have item 8.2 that we need to discuss.
Oh, yeah. We'll circle back to item 8.2, which is a, you go ahead and tee that up.
We're going to go ahead and let our finance officer, Deb Alford, present this to the board. This is something that is a statutory requirement, and she'll walk you through.
Thank you. In March of 2015, the county issued qualified school construction bonds to build the Cool Springs Elementary School. And now at 3 years' time, if there are any bond proceeds that are still available, we're required by the IRS law to pay down the debt on that money that we borrowed. We borrowed $12,700,000. And we have about $490,000 in unspent bond proceeds. So the resolution that I have before you, first item tonight, is to make that first bond payment back of $490,000. The second item that I have is an escrow agreement, because on this particular bond issue, we also is structured that the $12,700,000 is not paid till the last year of financing, which is 2035. But we are required every year to put money into a sinking fund so that we're building up that $12,700,000 that we'll have it on hand when the final payment comes due in 2035. So we need to set up an escrow agreement with U.S. Bank where they will take that yearly payment that we're putting in, they will invest those funds. That interest will also go toward meeting that principal payment at the end of 2035. So those are the first two items that I have for you. Then, now that Cool Springs is completed, we have a project ordinance for Cool Springs. And what we've always done with the school projects is when there's savings on construction, there's sales tax refund money that comes in during the project, there's investment earnings that occur during the time the money is in the bank. We take all of those savings or new money and we roll it to another project that the school is still working on. So the school has requested that we take around $700,000 that has been saved or earned in the Cool Springs project and move it to the North Iredell, South Iredell project. So those are the two project ordinances that I have for you that need to be approved. so that we can give them the money that they saved at Cool Springs so they can continue construction at North and South Iredell. To complicate it a little further, so we bring everything into this, the debt proceeds that had to be paid back, I had budgeted for those in the general fund because that payment was going to have to be made into the sinking fund. So now I'm asking for you to give me the budget authority to move that back over to the North Iredell, South Iredell Fund so that we keep the Iredell Statesville School projects whole and they do not, none of that money reverts away from them, but they'll still have their full $700,000 to move to the North Iredell, South Iredell, and we'll still be able to pay down $490,000 on the debt.
Thank you, Ms. Alford. Any questions or comments? I would then request that a resolution calling certain of the county's taxable general obligation school bonds, qualified school construction bonds, parenthetically, Series 2015A bonds for redemption and amending the issuance resolution related to such bonds. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I need to make this motion. This got to be read. Excuse me. I make a motion to approve a resolution calling for certain of the county's taxable general obligation school bonds, qualified school construction bonds, Series 2015A bonds for redemption, and amending the insurance resolution related to such bonds. Approve an escrow agreement with the U.S. Bank. Approve an amended Cool Springs Elementary School Capital Project Fund. Approve amended North Iredell High School and South Iredell High School Capital Project Fund. And approve budget amendment number 34.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Norman. Any further comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on. Item 9, which is an announcement, as I said, of the Recreation Advisory Commission. A vacancy is opened up with the resignation of Pam Christopher, and we appreciate her dedicated volunteer hours in that endeavor to provide recreational opportunities for the citizens of this county. So this will be open for application on our website, and 2 weeks from now on, what would the date be?
The first.
Okay, the 1st, we would have a public hearing and fill that vacancy based on applications. So we would encourage folks to apply and be part of this important committee. I think that takes us to the...
Mr. Chairman, before we go into closed session again, I'd like to, and maybe under new business, just bring up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Mack Center in Mooresville, Jim Puckett, Commissioner of Mecklenburg County, and myself are holding a economic development symposium on the effects of the I-77 toll lanes. We brought in a couple different speakers to talk about the impact it's going to have on North Mecklenburg and Iredell County and surrounding counties. We've invited quite a few of our elected officials and those that want to be elected also, and I would hope that any on this board would come and be a part of this discussion. I think it will be enlightening, and I think it's going to be very critical to our future, especially the next 50 years. So I wish everybody there, and hope to see you. I will suggest that you eat first, because we are on a very limited budget between us two commissioners, and there will be some Niagara water, but that's going to be about as good as it gets. So, but please come and join us at 6 o'clock at the Mack Center in Mooresville.
You guys always have been big spenders.
We have.
Thank you, Commissioner McNeely, for taking the time to work on that committee, especially with the great state of Mecklenburg.
Yeah. If we had some toll money, we'd have got you supper, but we don't have any yet, so.
At this point, we'll circle back to item 12. It is a public comment period for this evening, and I would inquire if anyone has signed up to be heard, and I would ask of anyone that is sitting in the audience if they'd like to be heard. Seeing and hearing none, then we will dispense with the public comment period and move on to the county manager's report.
Thank you, Chairman Mallory. I just have 2 items of good news to report. One is that we received approval last week for the new ropes course variance that we requested for the driveway and entrance road there at our new ropes course location, which will be located behind South Iredell High School. So we will be, now that we have that variance, we'll be moving forward with that project. The second item just to update you on is to let you know that the government center building, which is this building, the restoration project, will begin the middle of May. We're going to wait until the play is complete, and then we'll be beginning that project. And if you remember, phase 1 of the project is the roof project, which is fixing the roof and the structural repairs that will be necessary for that. So we will begin that next month.
Will that necessitate any change in venue for our meetings?
It should not, no, because they will not be constructing and working while we're meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say, since I'm General Government Task Force, Ms. Retha has graciously given us a reminder of our upcoming budget work sessions, May 10th, 11 to 3, South Wing Conference Room, May 14th, 8 to 12, South Wing Conference Room, May 15th, regular meeting day, but if needed, budget work session, 12 to 5, South Wing Conference Room. Thank you, Ms. Retha.
Thank you, Commissioner Halp. And that is, of course, open to the public, and we encourage anyone to attend. At this time, anything else for the good of the order before going into closed session? And we will now move into closed session for attorney-client issues related pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3. We were in closed session. resume open session. There's no actionable items to report on attorney-client consultations, and I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned.